The White House Council of Economic Advisors estimates Trump's plan could add between 290,000 to 414,000 infrastructure jobs over the next 10 years. Joining us right now is the Great America PAC chairman, former Reagan chief White House political advisor and Fox News contributor,
Thank you.
Ed Rollins.
Good
Ed,
morning.
good to see you. What do you expect the president to talk about today? Obviously, money is tight. Where does the money come from for this infrastructure plan?
Well, obviously, it's a balance between federal investment, private investment, and state. This should have been priority number one. If this would have gone up instead of the health care in the beginning, I think we would have had a big bill today. The problem today is I don't think we're going to have much after the big budget bill. So I think until the Congress revotes itself in or out, I don't think we can see much until January. The biggest problem here is the federal government's always put the biggest chunk in, 80% on the highway bills and what have you. It's talking about 20% today. A lot of these states and local communities don't have the resources. We don't have the resources at the federal level to do what we should do. And trying to get the private investment in there is going to be very, very important.
Well, the President Reagan wants $200 billion in federal money, and then the rest of the $1.5 trillion to come from the private sector.
And by the way, though, Ed, there was $21 billion in new infrastructure spending that was in that hideous
bill, right?
Omnibus bill, that spending bill that the president acted like he was going to veto it and didn't. So there's money. There are handouts to construction in there.
The problem always when my first experience in Washington was I was the Assistant Secretary of Congressional Affairs, Department of Transportation, and every member has their own special projects that they want. And my sense is Democrats at this point in time are going to do nothing to make the president look good. I do think they want this bill. I do think it's not going to get done until at least January or February of next year.
Is there any way with executive orders, or there even the Transportation Department, to remove the barriers, licensing barriers?
I think that's very, very important.
That's the big issue.
As you know well, and Elaine Chao is as capable as anybody in this administration. And my assumption is she's not going to get a tweet firing her in the foreseeable future. And I think she can basically push a lot of this stuff. And I just think it's kind of being slow walked, and it really needs to be fast walked right from the get-go, because it will create jobs, and it'll be a unique coalition because labor unions, what have you, all want these jobs. So Democrats should be at the forefront of this, and they're basically stalling it. And I think what they're going to try and do is split it into multi-bills, sewage-type bills, highway bills, what have you, as opposed to a big comprehensive.
But who's going to pay for it, though? This goes back to my issue that. Again, when you don't have the federal gas tax, when it hasn't gone up in more than 20 years, and then you expect what regular income taxpayers to pay for this, we're going to borrow it. Again, there's no financial responsibility.
Well, the last time you raised the gas tax, George Mitchell was the Senate Majority Leader back in 1991, 92.
Yeah.
And moreover, they've been using the gas tax for non-highway
type things. It's a big
trail of the original trust.
Go ahead.
How do you get private investment to come in, make this attractive to them to?
Well, they all want in. They all want in. I mean, I think a lot of private. Well, go ahead, Ed.
I feel the same way. I think if you have a real plan and you see that the state and local and the federal government are going to coordinate and speed this process up, they'll put money in. But there's that piece of it's not done yet. And
people are not going to invest in infrastructure if they think they're not going to get a return for 13 years.
Absolutely.
That's one of the issues. They've got to roll back the regulations and the barriers and the red tape, and then I think they'll get the investment. Don't you think, Ed?
Absolutely. And I think it's a high priority. And again, it should have been the first priority. It should have been bill number one, and it wasn't. And now we have to wait.
Do you think on the local level there's going to be blowback on having toll roads instead of
there is, but at the end of the
day,
day, I think there's such a frustration at this point in time. The old term "free highways" or it's just not
potholes. Free potholes.
When I interviewed Jamie Dimon back in January, one of the things he said was, I tried to invest, and he was looking at the Bayonne Bridge,
right.
Bayonne, New Jersey, and Staten Island,
right.
the bridge crossing, and it was going to take 13 years, and that's when his team said, you know what, let's put this aside right now. We got to get to the White House shakeup, Ed, because Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin is now out. The latest to leave the Trump administration, with physician to the president, Ronnie Jackson, tapped to replace him. Your thoughts, Ed? So Shulkin is the second cabinet member to be fired just this month.
He was an Obama holdover. He was, as you remember, was a unanimous appointment. I don't think he was a Trump guy from the beginning, and I think he obviously self-destructed by his inconsistencies on following government regulations. The admiral will be a unique choice. He made a brilliant decision in saying that the president weighed 239 pounds as opposed to 249 pounds, which would have put him in the obese category. Right. So if he's politically enough to basically know that, my sense is he's going to be a great outside spokesman. He's an admiral. He's a surgeon. And at this point in time, it's one of the president's priorities, and he will have the president's ear, which is very, very important, where I don't think the president's secretary had the ear. So.
You know what I was thinking about, though, with the announcement of Shulkin, which was expected? People, again, the headlines are always more White House chaos. And I thought to myself, maybe President Trump is actually firing people who deserve to be fired. And in past administrations, people hung around too long because the president and their advisors were always reticent to make it look like we made a bad hire, we made a bad choice, but this guy stinks. He's gone.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And the fact that he'd been in an administration as the deputy secretary, he knew what the rules and regulations were. You don't take free tickets to Wimbledon. You don't go fly your wife all over the world on
gave him to you.
He's a really good friend, but I forgot his name.
It's amazing this keeps coming up. Tom Price, former health secretary.
Well,
why does this keep coming up?
You know, the bottom line.
You're absolutely right, Steve.
One of the jobs I had when I was in the White House is I would be the last person to talk to the cabinet officers, and I'd say, here, there's rules, there's regulations, read those basically and abide by them. And if you have any doubt, call your counsel or call Fred Fielding, who is our counsel, and you follow those rules. You don't follow those rules, you're done. Just understand that. You're going to get over there, you're going to think you're imperial because you got big offices and all the rest of it, and at the end of the day, you got to basically remember it's the taxpayers' dollars, and it's a position of trust.
It's not your money. It's not your money.
There you go. Guys, more ugliness from Hollywood. Jim Carrey is slamming President Trump again. The actor tweeted a drawing of what appears to be the president's sons being attacked by an elephant. The caption says, #TeamElephant. Jim Carrey has posted other pictures. He bashed people like White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders. What's your take on this?
My take is he's totally irrelevant today. He was a big movie star 20 years ago, 15 years ago. He hasn't made a buck in a movie in a long, long time. Political commentary, political cartoonists are always vicious, and this guy who's talentless, trying to basically be outrageous, is being vicious.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't make a big deal out of it.
We used to have a show called Hollywood Squares where the washed-up actors would go.
Hollywood Squares,
maybe we should resurrect that.
I didn't think he was funny.
Right, Hollywood Squares.
I didn't think he was funny.
Paul Lynde was never washed up. He was awesome. He was the famous center square. So I'm just pushing back on that.
It's good to know all this stuff that's not relevant to the ordinary people that are 18 and 19 years old anymore.
Jim Carrey, you're irrelevant. That's the bottom line.
Well, I've always thought in the next life, and I'm now 75, I'd be a political cartoonist because you get up every day and slam somebody and not pay a consequence. I think he will pay a consequence for this.
All right, we'll leave it there. Ed, great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ed Rollins.